In this GIMP Beginner's Guide, I'll show you how I created this reflected text. Now, because I want my canvas background to be purple, I'm going to change its colour first. And to do that, I go to the toolbox and click on the background colour square. Then I click on the purple palette and then on a shade of purple and click OK. And now I open a new canvas. So I click on File in the menu bar and click on New, and I'm going to accept the default size and just click OK. And now I'll do my text. So I click on the text tool in the toolbox and I come down to the tool options and I'm going to change the font. So I click on the double A's to open the font menu and scroll through, and I'm going to click on Rockwell Bold to select it. And then I'll change the size to 50 and come down and click on the colour and change it to white and click OK. And now I simply click on my canvas and type the text. And then I go to the Layers panel and click on the Create a Duplicate button to copy that layer. Then I go to the toolbox and click on the Move tool and put my cursor in one of the letters and drag it down underneath the original text layer. And then I click on Layer in the menu bar, come down to Transform and slide my cursor across and down and click on Flip Vertically. Then I go back to the toolbox and click on the Scale tool. And I click on that flipped layer and just drag it straight downwards a little, just to lengthen it. And then click on Scale to confirm it. And I go back to the toolbox, and this time I click on the Perspective tool. And I click back on that flipped layer and I drag out the bottom corners. And then click on Transform to confirm it. And now I'm going to change the colour of those letters. So I need to select each individual letter. So in the Layers panel, I right click on that layer and come down and left click on Alpha to Selection. And you'll see now that the marching ants have started running around each individual letter. Now I go to the toolbox and click on the Blend tool. And I want to use black and white, so I come down and click on the Reset button to reset the colour squares back to their default black and whites. Then I place my cursor at the bottom of a letter and drag it straight up. And now I'm going to put a black border around each of these letters. So while it's still selected, I click on Edit in the menu bar and come down and click on Stroke Selection. And I'll change the line width to 1 because I only want a narrow border, and click on Stroke. And now I'll deselect it by clicking on Select and None. Now I could put a black border around the other text layer the same way. I simply right click on it in the layer panel and come down and left click on Alpha to Selection. And you'll see that both selected it and started the marching ants around each letter. And then I click on Edit in the menu bar again, click on Stroke Selection, and the line width has stayed at 1, so I just click on Stroke. And again I deselect it by clicking on Select and None. Now to finish it off, I'm going to crop it. And I want to crop the background layer. So in the Layers panel, I click on the background layer, and then I go to my toolbox and click on the Crop tool. And I drag out a rectangle over the area that I want to keep. And then press the Enter key on my keyboard to remove the rest of that layer. Now if you want to put a border around this layer, click on Select in the menu bar and then click on All. And you'll see that starts the marching ants going around the outside. Then click on Edit again and click on Stroke Selection. This time I'd like it to be wider, so I'll change the line width to 5 and then click on Stroke. Now I've got to deselect it again, so I click on Select and None. Now I hope that made sense, but as always, if you've got any problems or suggestions, please leave a comment.